Funding for this program is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Our Town, the show about Rochester, catches up with Naura Anderson from Threshold Arts. We also learn how downtown Rochester is changing and check out a group of food lovers. We also connect with the founder of a business management company. All that coming up next on Our Town, the show about Rochester. Coming to you from 125 Live in Rochester, Minnesota, Our Town. We're joined today by Naura Anderson from Threshold Arts, here to catch us up on what's new and next with the arts organization and their management of the historic Chateau Theatre. Welcome back to Our Town, Naura. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks. Great to be here.
We know about Threshold Arts, but could you just remind us a little bit about the organization?
Absolutely. So we're a community arts organization, just over 4 years of existence. I started the organization when we were part of a group that took over the Castle building down on Broadway, the former senior center, to create a space where artists could come together to create work, to share their work. And that has obviously evolved with some changes with that building and other projects. But yeah, our goal is to connect artists with opportunities in the community, whether that be through public art, through selling their work in our retail location, through performing arts opportunities at the Chateau, and finding other creative ways. We've become a resource for a lot of entities with the City of Rochester and DMC and the Rochester Downtown Alliance to help out with kind of infusing some arts and creativity into programs. And so it's all about connecting the arts, artists and the arts with the community, and always looking for new ways to do that.
Awesome. So as you mentioned, Threshold Arts has grown. It's also now sort of under the managing the historic Chateau
Yes.
Theatre. Can you tell us what that means and how are you working to activate this really important and vital part of our community?
Absolutely, yeah. The Chateau is a gem. It's really a place that is treasured by so many in this community, and a lot of people have memories there. So it's a really cool opportunity for us. When the city was looking for an operator for that space about a year and a half ago now, we were definitely interested in that. Our future was a little bit uncertain at the time, and so I think it's a really great fit. We have experience managing community-focused spaces, but this space is definitely very different. It comes with its challenges. We've been working on a lot of those behind the scenes for the past few months with our partners at the city to get it up and running as really a turnkey venue where we can offer performance arts events again. We've got theater. We've got a partnership with Absolute Theater, so they're working on what will be their second full production in the space, which is really exciting. We have a variety of different musical acts kind of waiting in the wings, ready to get started. We are the main stage for the Rochester Thaw Festival, which is coming back in March, and so that's a deadline and timeline, a really exciting date for us to look forward to, where we look to have a lot of the work that we have done. But in addition to hosting performance and arts events like that, we can host all different kinds of community groups and organization. We hosted Latino Fest with ACLA last fall. We are working with a bunch of different community partners to plan events. We've had some dance performances, all those kinds of things. So the space is really flexible, really versatile, and look to utilize it for that, as well as, of course, private events. So we've got a few weddings on the books this spring, which we're really excited about, and more to come beyond that, and other private gatherings, that kind of thing. It's just such a cool space. The interior is just, it feels really magical when you're in there, and that is all historic and will not change. None of that will change. We're just trying to make it a little bit more user friendly so that we can have people come in on a more turnkey basis. In addition to that, we have some plans for kind of, as you walk in, more of a parlor lounge space. So a place where we'll have, some soft seating where you can sit and have a conversation with a friend, pass some time between perhaps appointments or meetings if you're downtown or at the clinic, as well as a small concessions area so you can grab a cup of coffee or a little snack, or sit and do some work if you're just looking for a place to kind of be it yourself. We've had a gallery in every space that we've been in, and so we've got an art gallery there as well. We've got the work of Willow Gentili up there now and will be for the next few months, which is a great way to showcase local artists' work and other things, and as well as a selection of art for sale. So an expansion of our retail program on Broadway. We've got a small selection of retail merchandise there as well.
That's super exciting.
So, there's a lot.
That's a lot. It's a lot. In addition to, I mean, just fixing up the place and ensuring that it's ready for all of these wonderful things and continuing things that are happening there already. Well, thank you so much, Naura. We'll certainly be catching up with you again with all that you're doing. And thanks for all you do.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Be sure to stick around. We have much more coming your way on Our Town. We connect with our inner foodie with a group of like-minded food lovers, and we also learn about a business management consultant working to serve the community. But up first, we take in the sights and the lights from the Social Lights events downtown in this week's Our Culture segment.
Social Lights is a 3-day light music, small business celebration for downtown Rochester. We are going to have nightly stages and DJs. We'll have 5 themed light bars with themed drinks to match, and we will have beautiful illuminations on all of the buildings around this area, as well as light up games and plenty of photo opportunities for our social media mavens out there. It's an adaptation of our traditional social license that we haven't been able to do for a couple of years, but COVID got the best of us yet again. So we pushed it forward a month into a slightly warmer time of year. We knew ice wouldn't be possible, so we're doing lights instead. The Rochester Downtown Alliance is the main organizer of the event, but of course we can't do anything alone. This is a team sport. The headliners of the event are our 5 local bars and restaurants that have each picked a unique theme for their LED panel bar fronts and the matching cocktails. It'll be colorful and really fun. We have Chester's. Their theme is a tribute to first responders. Then Victoria's Squid Game, and Tap House, Love Shack, and Kathy's Disco Bar. Old Brick House is going to have a theme of how to train your dragon.
Wanted to keep it with that Celtic theme, you know, stay with the Ireland, you know, general area, castles. We came up with 2 specialty cocktails. One is named the Aurora, the other is called the Dragon's Keep, something that's going to be delicious but to keep us warm inside. We really wanted to be a part of it this year, really kind of show who we are, because, you know, we're kind of the new kids on the block.
Then we'll have the beautiful illuminations on all of the buildings, which are sort of artwork in themselves. We'll have light up activities and games, including a light up free throw contest, skip-its, jump ropes. There will be an interactive giant scale light bright that you can play with. We will have the Kraus Anderson fire pits. We are going to have giant light up letters that spell out social lights. A beautiful illuminated photo booth, which is probably the last remnant of the ice theme that you're going to see.
Rochester is showing up tonight!
These DJs are probably going to lean towards top 40. They really want to make it feel like a fun community celebration, very accessible to all kinds of people.
I've been waiting for this for a long time, so I got a lot of energy, a lot of hype stuff to just get the crowd going. Keep them involved and just have a great time. A lot of top 40s, high energy. It's going to be a lot of different remixes, so it'll be something you know, but it'll be something you don't know at the same time.
One of my favorite aspects of the event is actually the dancing. It is incredible to see hundreds and hundreds of people together in the dance floor, cutting loose a little bit.
I think a lot of people focus on the lights part of it. It's social. It's just socialize. It's to come out, have a good time, feel the vibes, feel the energy.
We're also going to have some vendors. There will be Steam doing hot beverages, Rosati's Pizza, and the Duck Truck, part of Blue Duck. Events like this are crucial, especially after the last 2 years. We need to create opportunities for the community to come together. We think it's really important to hold these events downtown. This is really the center of Rochester. This is where everyone can come together and feel welcome. And it's also where our community can mingle with visitors from all over the world.
For more information about this story and other Our Town features, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter at KSMQ #OurTown, or ksmq.org/OurTown.
This is Danielle Teal with Our Town Spotlight. I have a fabulous guest today, Tawonda Burks from El Osino. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I know, and you do some really cool things that are critically important to people. Share a little bit about the services you provide.
Sure. At El Osino, I provide 3 lines of services. The first is consultant services for a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs. I also teach business classes as well right here in the community. And the third line of service I provide is credit restoration services.
Which I think is really important, especially during the pandemic and with inflation. We know that people are having challenges with just staying afloat. How has that experience been, and what are you seeing that is really common with some of the services that you provide?
Oh, wow. I'll start with the credit repair services. Actually, I started that a couple years ago, and I didn't realize how big of a need that was right here in the community. Working with a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs over the years, writing their financial and business plans, and they would oftentimes go off to present that to their business bank.
And so,
then in turn, they would get denied. So a lot of times they would just let that dream just pass them by. But notice there was a need, and the reason why they would get denied is because of the credit. So saw that there was a need in the community, did some research, got my company licensed and bonded to provide that service as well. So it's been helping to change what that need is in the community.
What has been so special about you doing this in the community? Because there are some focuses that you do, especially with Black-owned companies. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing, it's helping to change the wealth gap.
Yeah.
It's helping to change the BIPOC community having access to resources once we turn some of these challenges around.
That's really awesome. And one story or one bit of inspiration of what keeps you going with this?
What keeps me going? Until there's equality and equity across all spaces for people of color. So until we reach that point, I'll keep going.
Yeah, that's really good stuff.
Keep going.
How can folks find out more about the services that you offer?
Well, I'm all over the place, right?
Yes, you are. I took a photo of you on the back of a bus, a promotion.
Yes, I'm all over the place for several reasons, because I want people to know that there's resources available. So you can find me online, social media platforms all across. You'll find me under Tawonda B or Tawonda Burks, or just simply go to my website, which is elosina.com.
Perfect. And I know that you give really, really great golden nuggets of information for people. So be sure to check her out on Facebook. Thank you so much, Tawonda.
Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you so much. This is Danielle Teal with Our Town Spotlight.
This is Michael Wojcik with your Our Town Legislative Rundown. The state of Minnesota paused briefly this week to remember the late Senator David Durenberger, known for his work in healthcare policy and also a key contributor to environmental causes. One of the things that he was known for was some of the bipartisan compromise legislation that really helped to end the issue of acid rain in the state of Minnesota. This week, Governor Tim Walz signed the PRO Act into law. This was House File 1, Senate File 1, which dealt with codifying abortion rights in the state of Minnesota. Now, this doesn't change anything immediately because there's a state Supreme Court ruling that assures these same rights, but in the case that a court decision might be reversed in the future, this is an additional layer of protection. We understood that this was something that was likely to happen given the partisan makeup of the legislature and the results of the last election. That said, this is formally law, and the House and Senate will be moving on to other issues. Now, in addition, this also touches on some areas that are not as well known, including the right that any pregnant person has to carry that pregnancy to completion. That also is codified as a right within this law. And it does deal with some instances where there have been potential for sterilizations done in the state of Minnesota in the past. One of the key outcomes of last week was the House passing House File 7. This is the bill that would create a clean energy standard for the state of Minnesota where all of our energy would be carbon-free by 2040. Obviously, there's been a lot of discussion about this, and we in Rochester have been leaders in this very topic. At RPU, we actually passed a similar rule that will require all of our energy to come from clean sources by 2030. Now, this is a very complicated topic because in reality, the energy grid does not stop at map lines. It goes to many different places, so where the energy is coming from is never entirely carbon-free until the entire grid is. We understood this in Rochester, and we also understood the importance of reliability. So even though 100% of our energy in Rochester will come from carbon-free sources in 2030, that doesn't mean it's the case at all times, because there are certain times where other forms of energy may be serving backup. It's likely to be similar with the state of Minnesota, but legislation like this does help to move towards cleaner energy and address the serious issue of climate change. Finally, I'd like to mention House File 284. This is a bill that deals with creating a commission to recommend a new flag for the state of Minnesota. This is something that has local connections because Lee Harold of Harold Flags is one of the designers of the North Star flag, which is one proposed replacement. We don't know what the original creators of the Minnesota flag 150 years ago were thinking, but they weren't available for comment. But this new commission will be able to take up potential designs and recommend them to future legislators. This is Michael Wojcik with your Our Town Legislative Rundown.
This is Danielle Teal with Our Town Walkabout. I'm here at 125 Live, and there is a new foodie group that Robin is helping with. Robin, share a little bit more about what the foodie group entails and what you do.
Sure. So my name is Robin, and I am the program manager here at 125 Live. And the foodie group is a social group. We have social members who do all sorts of activities, and this is one that they brought up for the new year.
These are little phyllo dough tarts, and they're hot.
They're warm. They're pretty hot, actually.
So in this group, this is our first meeting today, and so everybody brought appetizers and recipes to share.
It's in a sourdough bread bowl with torn sourdough.
And then we'll discuss what we want the group to look like going forward. So maybe one week it's going to be sourdough bread, and the next week it's going to be fat content in recipes and how to decrease that. So all different ideas, all different things, so we'll meet monthly and have fun and share food together.
Let's go over some of the items here real quick. What is this delicious, delectable
goodness?
That's
a good question.
You don't know?
I do. It's right here. This is buffalo chicken tater tot bites.
Ooh, tater tots.
What that is.
It's like a twist on the Minnesota tater tot dish, right? Okay.
Yes.
And then we've got other items here. It looks like there's a dip in this.
Yep, this is a beer cheese dip and a sourdough bread. And I know the one who made this makes the sourdough bread by hand.
Homemade.
It's homemade, yes. Homemade. And I'm not sure what this one is. Roll-ups. Oh, those are...
Are those the ham roll-ups?
Those are ham roll-ups with the pickles in them, yes.
Those are our fave.
Pastrami roll-ups.
Yeah. Why do you think this is so important?
Well, I think it's, one, to get people together and to back in with each other, making friendships, building friendships, and two, to share something that everyone loves, food. Why not share in that and learn new tips, techniques, and tricks along the way, and then make friends for life in the group?
Perfect. This is Danielle Teal with Our Town Walkabout. We're going to go grab some food.
Downtown Rochester has gone through quite a few shifts and changes over the last 4 years. Under the leadership of Holly Masek, the Rochester Downtown Alliance has worked to meet those changes. Today, Holly joins us to catch us up on what's new at RDA and what the future of downtown Rochester may look like. Welcome back to Our Town, Holly. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Before we dive a bit deeper into how the downtown has changed and what changes you foresee, it's February, which usually means that it's time for Social Ice. Can you tell us a little bit about this year's programming?
Absolutely. So Social Ice will be on the 24th and 25th this year, Friday and Saturday. It's going to be a 2-day event, so don't miss it. We are not having the Thursday this year. There will be 6 different ice bars involved, but we have heard from the community over the last few years that they want the event to evolve to be something a little bit more inclusive to a wider swath of the community. So that means, yes, of course, we'll have the DJs and the dancing and these cool themed bars, but then we were also going to have more of a family-friendly activity time on Saturday and more elements of the event that don't involve alcohol. So anyone can come here of any age, especially on Saturday, to enjoy what we're doing. Saturday afternoon, that event is called Fam Jam, which is a little bit more family-friendly as well. And so you'll also find, hot off the presses, we are going to have a synthetic curling rink out there. We will have fire pits. You'll be able to make s'mores. And then, of course, all these great ice sculptures that people have come to enjoy.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing that. And I'm definitely going to be at the Fam Jam with my 2 small children.
All right.
We first met you on the show back in 2019 when you first took the helm of RDA as executive director. How has downtown Rochester changed over the last 4 years, and what do you see as some of the biggest challenges it's faced?
Downtowns have changed across the country. It's not just Rochester, but everything here feels very close to home, of course. So the pandemic accelerated trends that people were seeing throughout the country. We were starting to, tentatively explore the idea of remote work, and suddenly in a big way, a lot of companies have adapted that, including Mayo Clinic, which is our major employer downtown. So we've been seeing reduced foot traffic and customer base, especially that lunchtime crowd for downtown. We also are seeing a shift to telehealth, which means that patients are coming for shorter time, shorter stays. The hotel stays are a little bit reduced and they're spending less money while they're here. Those are big, negative challenges that downtown is grappling with right now. However, on the flip side, and I'm an optimist, there are a lot of great things happening in Rochester that were also trends before the pandemic, but we're really starting to notice. Some include the growth in housing downtown. We've almost doubled our market rate housing units in the last 10 years. And by some figures, a downtown resident spends 7 times more in a year than a downtown employee does. But it does mean that they're looking for different types of stores and restaurants and experiences. They're utilizing downtown different hours. We also have a growth in the University of Minnesota Rochester campus. They are actually converting one of the hotels downtown into a dorm. So we'll see the student life really taking up downtown. And they're slightly quieter on the scene, but Luther College also has students here. And the University of Minnesota, it's Winona State, Rochester, also has students downtown. A little bit less of a residential program, but they're here and they are interacting with Mayo Clinic. So seeing that student growth is great as well. Downtown has seen business closures. It's been very challenging to get through the pandemic. Reduced foot traffic, we've had construction, we've had pandemic-related restrictions on how you can operate. We have lost some businesses. We're also gaining businesses, and a really intriguing trend that I think you'll notice in 2023 is some of the ones that are opening this spring are actually returning to downtown. They've had businesses downtown before. They know what the potential of the location is, and they're bringing different concepts to downtown. So that will be really fun to see as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think we can definitely see those challenges that, as you pointed out, have been national trends that we certainly felt at a local level during the pandemic, and then all those opportunities. You're going to be transitioning out of your role this month, and as executive director of RDA, you've been on the pulse of all this change in Rochester, especially during these really pivotal pandemic years. What do you think, you don't have a crystal ball, and I'm not asking you to sort of fortune tell, but what do you think might be, as you're sort of thinking about those trends, what the next 5 or 10 years might look like in downtown?
I think the housing growth is going to really pick up, and yes, you'll see it right in the core of downtown, but also just around the edges as well. I see a lot of people wanting to invest in those core neighborhoods that are walkable to downtown, and there's a lot of housing development just to the north and to the south. I see that the student population, I know we spoke about this, but I do see that growing as well. And I hope to see the students really start utilizing downtown as their campus. I went to a very urban university. We didn't really have a quad. We didn't have anything like that. We just used the town and the city as our campus. And so I'd love to see the students really activating in Peace Plaza and Central Park and Mayo Park. I'd love to see the waterfront become an area of focus. There is probably a lot of fun activity we could do down there that people haven't even thought about yet. Still want to see a concert down at the bottom of the ramp behind
As do I.
Government Center. Yeah. And then for trends, we're really going to see, I believe, people using downtown as what's called a third place. It's someplace between your home and your work. But if a lot of people don't have to go to work anymore, or at least not every day, it's not actually that fun or productive to work from home all the time. I actually think we'll see a lot more coffee shops, co-working spaces, places that are flexible where you can spend a couple hours and casually work and be around other people. And I've actually been surprised with the proliferation of coffee shops downtown since COVID, and I expect to see more. And something interesting is that they're all serving different audiences in different hours. Some open very early and they get that, I'm heading to work crowd, and some actually stay open quite later in the evening. And they're serving a crowd that wants a place to socialize that isn't around food or alcohol, more of a casual place to hang out.
Thank you so much, Holly. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for giving us that insight, and thank you for all that you've done and continue to do.
Thank you. Welcome.
And thank you all for joining us today for more wonderful content produced right here in Rochester. Please be sure to check us out on Facebook and Twitter at #OurTown. I'm Nicole Fenoy-Amhara, host of Our Town. We will see you next week.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.